Excuse me, miss, but that's not what happened. The tour guide stopped mid-sentence and turned to look at the man who'd interrupted her carefully rehearsed presentation. He was standing in the back of the group, ordinary-looking, wearing a baseball cap and trying not to draw attention. "I'm sorry," Jennifer said, her professional smile slightly strained. "The story you just told about Elvis and the Colonel in this room, it didn't happen that way." Jennifer's smile tightened. "Sir, this information comes directly from the Graceland archives. I assure you it's accurate." The man pushed his sunglasses up onto his cap, revealing his face for the first time. "Ma'am, I was in this room when it happened. I lived here." It was spring 1974, and Elvis was considering opening Graceland to public tours. Not for money, but to offset maintenance costs. The idea made him uncomfortable. This was his sanctuary, but he was willing to consider it. The plan: tours when Elvis was away, showing downstairs public rooms while keeping private bedrooms off limits. Before deciding, management arranged a test tour with local travel agents to work out logistics. They'd hired Jennifer Matthews, a 26-year-old with history degree and tour experience. She'd spent 2 weeks studying materials about Elvis and Graceland, memorized her script, and was ready to prove herself. Elvis himself had decided to join the test tour at the last minute. Hearing the group arrive, he grabbed a baseball cap and sunglasses and quietly joined the back. For the first 15 minutes, Elvis stayed silent. Jennifer covered the foyer history, mostly accurate, though Elvis noted she got the purchase price wrong. In the living room, Jennifer explained Elvis's decorating choices. Elvis wanted everything modern and sophisticated, personally selecting every piece based on Hollywood design trends. Elvis bit his lip. His mother had picked most of that furniture. In the dining room, Jennifer told stories about Elvis hosting elaborate dinner parties lasting until midnight. Elvis almost laughed. He'd eaten maybe 5 formal dinners there. Most nights he ate in the kitchen watching television, but it was in the music room where Elvis finally couldn't stay quiet anymore. Jennifer was standing next to the gold leaf piano, telling the group about how Elvis and Colonel Parker had negotiated the contract for Elvis's first Las Vegas residency in that very room. "Right here," Jennifer said, patting the piano. Elvis and the Colonel sat down in 1969 and worked out the details of what would become one of the most successful Las Vegas residencies in history. Elvis played the piano while they talked, and by the end of the evening, they'd agreed on terms that would change Elvis's career forever. "Excuse me, miss, but that's not what happened." The correction came out before Elvis could stop himself. Jennifer turned, her expression shifting from confident to slightly annoyed. "I'm sorry," she said. Elvis realized he'd committed himself now. "The story you just told, about Elvis and the Colonel negotiating in this room, it didn't happen that way." "Sir," Jennifer said with strained patience, "this information comes directly from the estate management. I assure you it's accurate." "With respect, ma'am, it's not." Elvis took off his sunglasses and pushed the baseball cap back on his head. "The Vegas contract was negotiated in the Colonel's office in Los Angeles. Elvis wasn't even in the room for most of it, and Elvis rarely played this piano. He preferred the one upstairs in his private quarters." Jennifer stared at him, her mouth slightly open. One of the travel agents in the group gasped. Another whispered, "Oh my God," under her breath. "Mr. Presley," Jennifer finally managed, her face going pale. I didn't know you were here." "That's kind of the point of the disguise," Elvis said gently. "Sorry for the surprise. I just wanted to hear how the tour would go." Jennifer looked like she wanted to disappear into the floor. "Sir, I'm so sorry. I was just reading from the materials they gave me. I didn't mean to—" "Hey, it's okay," Elvis interrupted, his voice kind. "You didn't do anything wrong. I'm not here to criticize you. I'm here because I wanted to hear my own story told back to me. Turns out it's a pretty different story than I remember living." The other tour participants had formed a semicircle around Elvis, some taking photos, others just staring in disbelief. Elvis ignored them and focused on Jennifer, who looked like she might cry. "Can I ask you something?" Elvis said. "Where did those stories come from? The dinner parties, the Vegas negotiation, all that?" "From the tour materials your management provided," Jennifer said quietly. "They gave me a binder with approved stories and facts about Graceland and your life. I studied it for 2 weeks." Elvis nodded slowly. Can I see that binder? Jennifer retrieved it from her bag with shaking hands. Elvis flipped through it, his expression growing more bemused with each page. Here was his life, packaged and sanitized, turned into easily digestible anecdotes for tourists. Some of it was technically true but missing important context. Some of it was exaggerated, and some of it was just plain made up. Huh, Elvis said, closing the binder. This is interesting. It's like reading about a character based on me, but not actually me. Mr. Presley, I'm so sorry, Jennifer said again. If you want to cancel the tour program, I completely understand. This must be so invasive. Actually, Elvis interrupted, I want to try something. How much time do you have left on this tour? Jennifer checked her watch. About 45 minutes. We were going to see the TV room, the jungle room, and then end in the trophy room. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. You finish the tour the way you planned, but I'm going to walk along and maybe add some color commentary. Real stories about what actually happened in these rooms. Would that be all right with you? Jennifer looked stunned. You want to co-guide your own house tour? Why not? If we're going to do this, might as well make sure people are getting the real story, right? What followed was the most unusual tour in Graceland history. Jennifer would start each room with her rehearsed script, and then Elvis would gently correct or expand on the story with what had actually happened. In the TV room, Jennifer explained that Elvis had 3 televisions so he could watch all the networks at once. That's true, Elvis confirmed, but the real reason is I'd get bored. I'm not good at sitting still. If nothing interesting was on one channel, I'd flip to another. Having 3 meant I could always find something. Also, sometimes I'd watch all 3 with the sound off and play guitar, made my own soundtrack to whatever was on. In the jungle room, Jennifer described the exotic decor and how Elvis had designed it to look like Hawaii. Elvis laughed. Designed is a strong word. I went furniture shopping with my daddy, saw this stuff and thought it looked cool. Bought the whole showroom floor in about 30 minutes. My decorator nearly had a heart attack when we showed up with all this. She called it a nightmare. I called it fun. One of the travel agents raised her hand. Mr. Presley, is it true you recorded an album in this room? Working on one right now, actually, Elvis said. It's comfortable, sounds good, and I can record in my pajamas if I want. Can't do that in a regular studio. In the trophy room, surrounded by gold records and awards, Jennifer had a well-rehearsed speech about Elvis's achievements and legacy. She was only 3 sentences in when Elvis gently interrupted. Can I tell them something different? He asked. Jennifer nodded, stepping aside. Elvis looked at the walls covered with awards. Gold records, plaques, trophies, photographs with presidents and celebrities. You know what's funny about all this? He said quietly. I'm proud of it, don't get me wrong. But these aren't the moments I think about when I think about my career. The stuff that meant the most to me isn't on these walls. The group was completely silent, hanging on every word. The first time I heard myself on the radio, driving with my mama, and she started crying because her son was on the radio. The kid in Tupelo who waited in the rain for 2 hours just to shake my hand and tell me my music helped him get through his daddy's death. The time I sang for a group of soldiers about to ship out to Vietnam, and you could see in their faces that for just a minute, they forgot they were scared. Those moments aren't on any wall, but they matter more than all of this combined. Elvis paused, looking around the room. If people are going to come here, if they're going to walk through my house and hear stories about my life, I want them to know that. The awards are nice, but they're not the point. The point is the connection, the music, the people whose lives touched mine and changed me. Jennifer was openly crying now, along with several others in the group. One of the travel agents raised her hand tentatively. Mr. Presley, can I ask, why did you join this tour? Really? Elvis thought about it for a moment. Honestly, I was scared. The idea of strangers walking through my house, judging my decorating choices, hearing stories about my life. It felt invasive. But then I heard Jennifer telling her version of my story, and I realized something. She was trying her best with the information she had, and the stories she was telling, they weren't wrong exactly. They were just incomplete. He turned to Jennifer. You did a great job with what you were given. You were enthusiastic, professional, respectful. That matters. But if we're going to do this, if we're going to open Graceland to tours, we need to make sure the stories are real. Because my life wasn't as neat and tidy as that binder makes it sound. It was messy and complicated and beautiful and sometimes really hard. And that's okay. That's human. So you'll approve the tours? Jennifer asked hopefully. Elvis smiled. On one condition. We rewrite all those tour materials. Real stories, real history. Not sanitized, not exaggerated, just honest. You think you could help with that? Jennifer nodded enthusiastically. Yes, sir, absolutely. And one more thing, Elvis added. That story about the Vegas contract, here's what really happened. For the next 10 minutes, Elvis told the real story of how the international hotel deal came together. The phone calls, the negotiations that Elvis wasn't even present for, the way the Colonel made decisions without always consulting him. It wasn't as cinematic as Jennifer's version, but it was true. When the tour finally ended, Elvis walked the group to the front door. Each person thanked him, some asking for autographs, others just wanting to shake his hand. When everyone else had left, Jennifer lingered behind. Mr. Presley, thank you, she said. Not just for correcting the stories, but for doing it so kindly. You could have been angry that I got things wrong. You didn't get things wrong, Elvis said. You told the story you were given. That's not your fault. Besides, I learned something today, too. What's that? That maybe I need to be more involved in how my story gets told. I've let other people control the narrative for so long. The Colonel, the movie studios, the media. Maybe it's time I took some of that back. Elvis did approve the tours, but not until he and Jennifer had spent weeks rewriting the tour script together. She would ask questions, and he would tell stories. Some funny, some sad, all true. They removed the invented anecdotes and replaced them with real memories. They added context to the awards and explained the failures alongside the successes. When Graceland officially opened for tours in 1974, Jennifer Matthews was the head guide, and her tours were known for being different from typical celebrity home tours. They were honest, sometimes uncomfortably so, but they gave visitors a sense of Elvis as a real person, not just an icon. Years later, after Elvis passed away, Jennifer continued giving tours at Graceland. But she always kept one story private, the story of the day Elvis joined her test tour in disguise, and taught her that the best way to honor someone's legacy is to tell their truth. She did eventually share that story, but not in her tours. She included it in a memoir published in 2005 called The Real Graceland: Stories Elvis Told Me. In it, she wrote, Elvis taught me that day that there's a difference between the story people want to hear and the story that needs to be told. The first one might be more comfortable, but the second one is more human, and in the end, humans are more interesting than icons. The binder of sanitized stories was never used. Instead, it sits in the Graceland archives, a reminder that sometimes the person who knows the story best is the one who lived it. And if you're lucky enough to have them correct you, you should listen. If this story touched you, make sure to subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that truth is more powerful than mythology. Have you ever had someone correct your understanding of their own story? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to ring that notification bell for more incredible true stories about the human side of music's greatest legends.